Also, as a woman who doesn't look like her, I don't understand why this gets so much airtime, especially when Lucy Letby literally looks like a textbook serial killer. Like, literally, in psychology, female serial killers tend to fit her profile.
What is going on, you guys, and welcome back again on another episode today. How are you doing? Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you all so much for your constant support as well. I see them and I appreciate them. In today's video, we are going to be checking out a video this lady made regarding the nurse that was, trending about a week ago. This is a news from the UK, and this nurse was convicted of killing babies in the hospital. She performed this heinous act by injecting insulin, milk, hair in the baby. Only God knows why she does this thing, but that was what she literally do to babies in ICU, and this has led to the death of so many babies. Aside from the obvious heinous things that she did, the way the media portrayed this whole story has sparked a lot of conversation on social media. This is a very sad situation. Dr. Shola even pointed out the same thing that the media were talking about, but she was being dragged because they claimed that she was making everything about race. I came across a video of a woman who literally talked about this that I want to share with you guys because I really want you guys to see this video so we can talk about it. And before I go ahead, I am sending prayers to the family of the babies who are affected, who are victims of this nurse. The pain can really be unbearable. Let me roll the clip of what this woman said about this whole situation because I really need you guys to see this particular one.
Good afternoon. I hope that you'll indulge me for about 4 minutes while I shake the table just a little bit. I want to talk about Lucy Letby, the white woman who has just been convicted of killing 7 babies. Now, we know that she's probably killed way more babies. They just couldn't track it to her at that time. And she definitely harmed a lot of babies that she didn't manage to kill in that time frame. And also big up Dr. Ravi, the consultant, the pediatrician of South Asian descent, who raised the alarm that, oh, we've got a killer in our midst. It's funny because when he raised that alarm along with, I think, 2 other consultants or 2 other doctors, he was told by hospital management that they shouldn't be so mean to Lucy Letby, Nurse Lucy. Shouldn't be mean to her. In fact, it got to the point where when they'd lodged a complaint about all of this, they were then told to apologize to Lucy for making her cry and essentially bullying her, even though the data was there to support the fact that it's always you that's on shift when babies die. You. Now we need to look at the way, because I'm not even here to talk about that per se. I'm here to talk about the way that news platforms keep presenting Lucy. They keep scratching their heads or appearing to scratch their heads that, oh my God, how could somebody who looks like this be a baby killer? First of all, I don't know what you're saying that she looks like, but anyway, you're trying to tell me that this apparently attractive white woman who looks like an angel, why would she do such? How could she do such? And they're presenting it as if this is an anomaly. I had to get my words there. They're presenting it like an anomaly when actually, when we look at it historically and presently, the violence of white women is not an anomaly. It is the standard, right? Wheel it up, selector. Let's go to 1564 when Queen Elizabeth I, she was the first British monarch that I know of to have gone, yeah, here's one of my ships, like a royal ship. You go out there and you go and enslave some Africans. After her came James I, then Charles I, and then there was like this brief stint where Britain was a republic. They'll be going back to that and permanently. Then after that, Charles II came, and that's when he was like, oh, chartered ships, let's go, like, let's do this. And yeah, I bring that up because one of the greatest crimes against humanity was the transatlantic slave trade and colonization. And it was a white female monarch in Britain, if we're talking about this in the British context, that said, yes, let's run it. Right? Then we go to the plantations. It's presented to us whenever these, films and series are made that white women were just, so sad that they had to be in the heat and, be on these plantations, and they were so lonely and they didn't want to be part of all of this depravity that was going on. False, because when you look at the documentation that managed to be salvaged, when you look at the accounts by those who were enslaved that managed to be able to share what they experienced, The nasty, evil things that white female plantation owners did. Wow. We move on from that. We look at what the things that happened around the civil rights era and segregation and things like that. Like, white women are not separate from the evil of white supremacy. White womanhood, in fact, I'll push it further. White womanhood was constructed for the sake of white supremacist heteropatriarchy, in order that white supremacist heteropatriarchy and those who ascribe to it would have something to fight for. If you present white women under this myth and falsehood of purity and innocence, it then means that you can create an other, a shadow self that needs to fight in order to protect them. And so when women like Lucy Letby, and then there was that white girl who went to Oxford University. She stabbed her boyfriend with a knife, and she stabbed him in the leg with a knife and then a shard of glass, I believe. And then the judge, Ian something, said that he wouldn't give her a prison sentence because he didn't want to ruin her life. So, but I want to know if he's ever said that to any black girl or any black person that's come into his court. I would really love to know. Anyway, I say all of this to say that the only way that white women are going to know goodness and happiness in this life is if they divest from white supremacist heteropatriarchy, and thus they stop playing innocent and confused about how white feminine purity, or the myth of it, serves them. Some people will say, but isn't that why feminism was created, or white feminism, isn't that why it was created? And I challenge you to think about the fact that white feminism wasn't created for the equality of all. I believe that white feminism was a mode or a vehicle for white women who weren't too fussed about white supremacy. They just wanted equal footing with white men as they oppressed everybody else. Lucy Letby is not an anomaly. She is the standard. Even if you're working in an environment where, yeah, we're not saying that every white woman is going around killing people, but the same system and construct that protected her, even when people were raising the alarm that, oh, this woman is dangerous, the same construct that protects her is the same construct that protects white women in the workplace when a grievance is raised against them because they're doing something wildly racist, very, 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 very underhanded, and they cry, and HR will say the person that raised the grievance, who is not white, that they are the person at fault. Divest. If you want to know happiness and goodness, divest from white supremacist heteropatriarchy, and that will mean giving up all of the privileges and all of the perceived protections of white feminine purity, because you're not protected at all.
In the UK, we have a nurse that's just been convicted of being UK's or Britain's most prolific baby killer. Her name's Lucy Letby. This lady killed 7 neonatal infants. These are very vulnerable children who depend on the NICU to keep them alive. She did this by injecting insulin and air and milk into them for reasons that we don't know. Anyhow, she's just been convicted, and I'm not going to comment on what happens after this fact. What's really disturbing me is the commentary around Lucy Letby. And before I even get into that, I just want to say my thoughts, and I'm sure the rest of the whole population's thoughts are with the parents that had to go through this awful, troubling, disturbing trial and also life event. And my heart, honestly, as a parent myself, I can't imagine what they're going through. The fact that there's so much airtime into this woman's psychology and why she doesn't look like a serial killer is the most disrespectful thing, not just because we should be focusing on the impact of those families, but also as a woman, as a mother, and also as a woman who doesn't look like her. I don't understand why this gets so much airtime, especially when Lucy Letby literally looks like a textbook serial killer. Like, literally, in psychology, female serial killers tend to fit her profile to a T. To a T. There's a lot of analysis about her personal and physical appearance, and I do not feel like we can have an honest conversation without really bringing race and gender into this. Now, at this time, I don't have the full range to do that. But one of the key themes that happened throughout that whole story was it couldn't be Lucy because she wouldn't look like she would do such a thing. I'm really curious as to what would make a convincing serial killer? What would they have to look like? Why didn't she look like a serial killer? Answer me that. There is a video on TikTok by the BBC that says, I do not know what a serial killer is meant to look like, but I didn't think it was meant to look like her. My question is why? Unfortunately, I can't stitch that video on TikTok. What it does do is that it highlights that there is a very serious discourse to be had about not just gender, but also other things, race, make people go under the radar for certain things. I don't understand how a person can't look like a serial killer. It doesn't compute. I actually think it's a very silly and very dangerous thing for the BBC to put out, if I'm honest. It just really highlights that if you look a certain way, you get the benefit of the doubt. Irrespective of physical appearance, we never ever know what a person's truly capable of. I have not 1 ounce of sympathy for that woman, not one. Like, is there mental health there? Does it matter now? 7 babies are dead and there's probably more. But please, when we engage about a discourse about this woman's appearance and why she went unsuspected for so long, let's not leave out the nuance of this, right? If you want to talk about her appearance, then we have to acknowledge that the way she looked made her unsuspected. And what is it about the way that she looked that led us to think like that? We're not ready for those conversations, but it's as a black woman, as a mum, as a female, as someone who has worked with colleagues in the neonatal wards, it's just the most infuriating situation to watch play out. Anyone of any race, of any gender, can cause harm, period.
What do you all think about the points that they all made? To me, I agree 100% with what they said. But one thing I noticed about people who pointed the fact that she got away with this thing because of her skin color, one thing I've noticed in the comment section is the fact that people are saying, oh, you all are so dumb to make this about race. And the truth is, if it happens to be a black person, they overlook so many complaints that other doctors have been given the way they did for Lucy. Like, that's the simple question. And I think this is what Dr. Shola was trying to say, that she got away with it for too long because of her whiteness. And when a reporter from BBC Will reports, she said it does not look like what Britain's prolific, serial killer looks like. Like, what exactly do they look like? Because that statement is as well very big. It's like saying, oh, they can get away with it truly because there's a certain way that this white people have to look in order for them to be able to say, yes, I agree, she can do this thing, which doesn't apply to a black person. Another thing that I noticed was people trying to make it about mental health. And this is the same reason why these people have a point saying a whiteness made her, get away with this for so long. Every single time they make it about mental health or, she's not okay mentally. But there was this black man who has been known to be mentally unstable on a subway that was killed by a white man. They didn't say, oh, he's mentally unstable, let's leave him alone, let's not hurt him. They hurt him. But when it has to do with these palm-colored people, it seems like there's always an excuse. And this situation is just very, very sad because these helpless babies do not get a chance at life. A lot of them might probably have survived if this nurse did not do what she did to the babies. Another interesting fact is the doctor that reported that this thing only happens when this person is on shift. This doctor was, told to apologize to her and as well go on mediation with her. If it happens to be a black person that has been reported countless times in an hospital, that when this person is on shift, we get to lose more babies. Do you think it's going to take so long like that for them to, point it out or even sack them or even dismiss them from that hospital? This is just the question. So a lady said that a lot of people in the UK try to act like racism does not exist, and I think this person is referring to people who said, the media is making this about race instead of them to be more concerned about the babies that has passed. Let me hear what you guys think about this whole situation in the comment section. It's a very sad one. I'm sending my prayers to the families of the people affected. But what are your thoughts about these points that these two TikTokers have raised regarding the Lucy situation? What do you think? Let's continue in the comment section. Thank you all so much for joining. Please, if you have not subscribed, kindly do so, and don't forget to go to the backup page as well. There are interesting conversations on that channel that you will want to join. Please go there, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye, and I love you all.